What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Will Motivation back again with another video, and today we are talking about the monthly payment on my Ferrari 488 GTB. Let's go. Okay, just like I said, this is my 2018 Ferrari 488 GTB. I just got it a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to talk about the monthly payment because when I buy cars like this, I like to share with people the real deal behind the scenes and be transparent on the ownership experience. So part of that ownership experience is not only driving the car, but paying for the car. So we're going to talk about how much the car costs, what my monthly payment is every month, and my thoughts and experiences financing exotic cars and cars like this, some things you might need to be aware of and things to take note on when buying a Ferrari or, like, let's say a Lamborghini, cars like that. All right, so let's jump right into the monthly payment. All right, it's a little windy out here, so hopefully you guys can hear me clearly. So I'm gonna get right to it, not waste any time. What is the monthly payment on this car? And then I'm gonna break down what goes into that monthly payment. So the monthly payment on this car is $3,017 every month. So $3,017 every month. Now, what makes up that monthly payment? Because there are a variety of factors. First thing is, how much did the car cost? And then how much of that cost did I finance? So this car, it costs $285,000. Now, I bought it used. New, this car costs about $385,000, but it's a 2018 and I am the second owner. First owner paid that full price, so we got it at a slight discount. So the cost was $285,000. Now, how much of that amount did I finance? I financed $200,000 of that amount. So the next question is, okay, so you financed $200,000. So that means you put down $85,000 in this example. And of course you got to pay your taxes and whatever fees you have. So that amount that was financed does not include those taxes and fees, which had to be paid out of pocket. So we financed $200,000 of that amount. So how did the payment get to be $3,017 per month? Well, you got your interest rate, and then you got the number of months that we financed it. So the number of months was 84 months. So essentially that is like, what is that, 7 years? Yeah, that's a 7-year loan. And the interest rate was just under 7%. So the bad thing is that is a really high interest rate for this car. So if you stay tuned to the end of this video, I'm going to tell you how we rectify paying that super high interest rate. But before we go there, let's talk a little bit more about financing supercars and exotics. So a lot of people are probably wondering how or why would you finance a car like this? Because most people assume that somebody has a car like this that they pay cash. So we'll talk about the how, then we'll talk about why you would finance a car like this. So let's talk about the how. How did I finance this car? Well, first of all, I had to have the income to be able to afford the car for a bank to give me the money to finance the car. You're probably wondering, well, what banks do you go to? There's a bank around here. It's called Ohio Credit Union. They have really good rates. But a lot of people, if they want to get a lower payment, they'll do like a 10-year loan to get the monthly payment down, and they'll go with somebody like Woodside Credit. Woodside Credit finances a lot of exotics, and I have used them in the past, but in this case, I did not use Woodside Credit, and I'll tell you exactly what I did at the end of this video. All right, so that's the how. You gotta be able to afford the car. You gotta be able to show your tax returns if you own a business. You gotta be able to show your income if you are like a W-2 employee, but you basically gotta show that you can afford the car. Then you get the bank to finance it, show them what kind of car it is, how much it's gonna cost, how much you wanna finance, and then they'll give you the terms and the rates on the loan. So that's the how. Now, I have a history of owning and financing exotic cars. So that actually helped me when I was getting this car, or when I finance any of my cars. They see that history. They're like, okay, this guy pays off his loans early, pays on time, he can afford it, and they give me the loan. That's the how. Now the why is probably the bigger thing, because you're like, who finances a Ferrari? How in the world does that make sense? A lot of people are like, well, Ferrari owner's got to be a millionaire, so he should probably just pay that in cash. He shouldn't have a payment. Well, in the past, the interest rates on vehicle loans were really good. So a lot of times it would make sense to buy a car, and instead of putting down $200,000 to pay it off, or $300,000 or whatever it costs, you're like, you know what? Money is cheap right now. I'll finance it. Then I'll take that $200,000 that I would have used to pay this car off, and I'll invest it in something that's going to give me a higher rate of return than what I have to pay in interest. So if the interest you are paying, like in the good old days, 4% interest or something like that for a car loan, and you could turn around and invest $200,000 and make 10% interest or return on your money, then it would make more sense to finance this vehicle at 4% than you're making 6% on your money, right? Does that make sense? Everybody follow me? Basically, if it's cheaper to get a low interest rate, the interest rates are cheaper, and you have ways to invest your money, like I invest in real estate. So I'll show you a quick clip of me at the end of this video, me closing on one of my real estate deals. Actually just took the Ferrari out to do that. But if you basically, your interest rate is lower than the rate of return on your investments, then a lot of times it will make sense to use your money to invest, get a higher return, and then just pay the bank the 3 or 4 or 5% that they might want. And then you have your cake and you can eat it too. Now, a lot of times when I title these videos, monthly payment video on a car like a Ferrari, I get a lot of haters, but usually the haters don't stick around to the end of the video. So for those of you guys that did stick around to the end of this video, what I like to share with you is that the interest rates are really high right now. So the example that I gave for what it costs for a monthly payment on a Ferrari, $3,017 for 84 months at a 6.9% interest rate. For me, at this point in time, that's not a good deal. So I actually bought this car in cash. But in the past, I've financed the cars, I've had a monthly payment, and I like to share that with people. What does a monthly payment cost on a car like this? But in my case, I did not want to pay 7% interest, and I had the cash available, and I went ahead and paid for this car in cash. Now, when you do something like that, the interest rates come down on car loans. I could always go to the credit union, I could always go to the bank and say, hey, give me a car loan against this car that I own. And they would put a lien on my title that I own this car free and clear. They put a lien on my title, they give me the cash, and then I would start making payments to them. And then I get that cash and I would go invest it in some real estate or something like that. But I'm in a position right now where I have enough cash to invest in the real estate that I want to invest in. So I did pay this car off in cash. So all the haters out there that say I can't afford the car and I should have bought it cash, well, actually I did buy this car in cash. But I have no problem financing a car like this, or for people that do finance a car like this, when they are investors and they can make more money on their money by investing it. So that's what I advocate for. You finance a car like this when it makes sense. You don't finance a car like this when you can't afford the car, or you're stretching yourself out, or if something happens, you can't afford to fix it, and all those kind of scenarios. You just should not buy the car. But if you can afford the car, like I could pay it, I did pay this car off, but let's say I financed it and I just wanted to invest my money in something else, then it could make perfect sense to finance this Ferrari. But you just got to do what's smart for you. And in this case, the smart thing for me to do was to go ahead and pay it off in cash. And I continue my investments. So I'll take you guys along with me to a closing I just did in the Ferrari. Let's go. Yeah, in case you didn't get a good look at this interior, check it out. It's got carbon fiber, everything. That's carbon on the vents. Seats, Ferrari red with the logo. Stitching. Carbon steering wheel. Yeah. All right. We got to go to this appointment, man. We're signing papers to sell a house. All right, so we're here closing on a property. And guess who we have? Rich the realtor and his trusty assistant. So we just signed papers on a new build that we built, added some modifications to it, and then we sold it. This one took us about a little longer than normal to sell it, but it was the perfect house for the people that bought it. And part of the reason I think that took it a little longer is because the interest rates went up on us. So I'm sure they either got an ARM or they...
No, they did a VA loan, which is lower interest rate.
Oh, okay, good for them. So this is part of the daily job where you gotta sign papers. So I'm signing papers because I'm going out of town. The buyers will sign their papers a few days later. Yeah, it's part of what we do. And if you guys want to know who Rich is, if you're looking to invest in Ohio, this is my realtor. We've done a lot of deals together. A lot of people ask me about some of the deals I do and, how do I find deals and stuff like that. So Rich has recommended, I didn't do any new build flips or investment properties until Rich recommended them to me. So this was his idea, and we've made money on every single one of them. So Rich, if you want to give your contact info.
Sure. I've actually spoken to several of your subscribers over time, and I'm more than happy to talk them through things or to represent them if they want to do deals in Columbus. But the name is Rich Shiro, and The best way to reach me is just to call me. It's 614-554-7705.
But when you call him, you got to be serious. He'll tell you the story about when I met him. Called him on a Friday, a lot of stuff to do, but he came and met with me. And I might not have looked serious, but I ended up being somebody serious about investing. So if you call Rich, have your ducks in a row. I'm sure you might have some questions on how to get your ducks in a row or what that means. But if you're serious about investing in real estate, this is definitely who I recommend.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody that wants.
There you go.